70% of projects are already behind schedule before anyone notices. The fifth reason is the one nobody talks about, but it kills more timelines than anything else. It was week 6 of a 12-week project. The team was working overtime, the client was sending daily emails, and the project manager had just realized they were only 20% done. According to the Standish Group, 70% of all projects miss their original deadline. And the reasons are almost never what leadership thinks they are. It is not lazy teams. It is not bad luck. It is 5 predictable, avoidable mistakes. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to spot them before they destroy your next deadline. The first reason projects get delayed is something that sounds boring but kills more timelines than anything else: vague requirements. In 2005, the FBI launched a software project called Virtual Case File to modernize their entire case management system. They spent $170 million over 5 years, and the project was scrapped entirely. The root cause was not bad developers or outdated technology, it was unclear and constantly shifting requirements from day one. When your project brief says things like "make it user-friendly" or "build a robust dashboard," you have already planted the seeds of delay. Every vague sentence becomes a debate later, and every debate burns a week off your schedule. The fix is brutally simple: before writing a single line of code, force every requirement into a testable statement. Not fast loading times, but page loads in under 2 seconds on a 3G connection. If you cannot test it, you cannot build it on time. The second reason is scope creep, and I do not mean the obvious kind. Everyone knows about the client who adds features mid-sprint. I am talking about silent scope creep, the kind that comes from your own team. A developer decides to refactor a module that was working fine. A designer adds an animation that nobody requested. A product manager squeezes in one small feature that takes 3 weeks to integrate. Google Wave is a textbook example of this. The team kept adding collaborative features until the product became so complex that nobody could explain what it actually did, and it launched late to complete confusion. Research from McKinsey shows that large IT projects run on average 45% over budget and 7% over time, with scope changes being the #1 driver. The solution is not saying no to every idea, it is having a written scope document that requires a formal change request for any addition. If the change is not signed off with a new timeline, it does not go in. Period. The third reason is one that nobody wants to talk about: too many decision makers and no single owner. I have seen projects where a simple button color required approval from 4 different stakeholders across 3 time zones. When everyone owns the project, nobody owns the project. A study by Harvard Business Review found that the average enterprise decision now involves 5.4 stakeholders, up from 1.8 in the 1990s. That is 3 times more people who need to agree before anything moves forward. This is why Amazon uses their famous 2-pizza team rule: if a team is too large to be fed by 2 pizzas, it is too large to make fast decisions. Every project needs one person who can say yes or no without scheduling a meeting about scheduling a meeting. If you do not have that person identified on day 1, your project is already behind. The fourth reason is ignoring early warning signs, and this one is the most painful because it is entirely preventable. Here is what usually happens: in week 2, a developer mentions that the API integration might take longer than estimated. The project manager notes it but does not adjust the timeline because they do not want to alarm the client. By week 6, that small delay has cascaded into a 3-week setback that affects every downstream task. Boeing's 787 Dreamliner project was delayed by over 3 years, costing billions, in part because early supply chain warnings were downplayed by management layers before reaching executives. The data backs this up. PMI reports that only 30% of projects use any kind of early warning system or risk register effectively. The best project managers I know treat every small delay like a fire alarm. They do not panic, but they adjust immediately. They resequence tasks, reallocate resources, and communicate the impact up front. A 1-day delay addressed on day 3 is a minor adjustment. That same delay addressed on day 30 is a full-blown crisis. The fifth and final reason is the most common and the easiest to fix: no buffer for reality. Most project timelines are built assuming that everything will go perfectly. Every estimate will be accurate. Every dependency will be available. Nobody will get sick or go on vacation. But reality does not care about your Gantt chart. Hofstadter's law says it best: it always takes longer than you expect, even when you account for Hofstadter's law. The Sydney Opera House was estimated to take 4 years and cost $7 million. It took 16 years and cost $102 million. While your project probably is not building an opera house, the principle is the same. Smart project managers add a 20 to 30% buffer to every major milestone, not because they expect failure, but because they respect uncertainty. This is not padding, it is professionalism. So here is what I want you to do in the next 10 minutes. Open your current project plan and ask yourself 3 questions. First, is every single requirement written as a testable statement? Second, do I have one clearly identified decision maker who can approve changes without a committee? Third, does my timeline include at least a 20% buffer on every critical milestone? If the answer to any of these is no, fix it today. Not next sprint. Not after the next status meeting. Today. Because the difference between a project that ships on time and one that spirals into chaos is almost never talent or budget, it is whether someone had the courage to plan for reality instead of fantasy. Start today. Not tomorrow. Today. That's a wrap, thanks for watching. If this gave you one idea you can use today, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.